Hey guys, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth here as well.
Still, it's actually a little bit below 90. I don't feel like it is, but it's another warm evening this morning.
Morning, Homer.
Good morning. Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth.
And together, the three of us, we are Mark Woodman's Breakfast Club this morning. I am going to smoke my Dodif Volcano. Been thinking a little bit about Dodif and others who are cob modders and how the FDA is screwing them over. Just so you know, we will absolutely continue to, number one, have the Cob Foolery Contest every year. And also, we're going to continue to give away the cornaments at during our tobacco advent. I got to thinking about that because, you know, pipes are now considered tobacco and it's illegal to sample people tobacco. But Mark Woodman's Breakfast Club is a private entity. We are individuals who are giving those pipes away. We are not a company selling those pipes.
And we do not endorse the smoking of cornaments.
Strictly for ornamental purposes.
We absolutely do not endorse smoking them while hanging on the tree.
Yeah. I can't hang on our tree.
Yeah.
It's too small.
Yeah. That's because of your knee and all.
I know.
Yeah. All the pizza.
We have to bring that up again.
Sorry. Alright, so I've got something I want to talk about today. And let's start with the fun side of this. I'm going to show off something that I am sure most of you have seen. And I am going to absolutely confirm everything you've heard about it. and that is this
Tumbler.
This is the 30-ounce tumbler. Some of you might recognize this as the 30-ounce Yeti tumbler. Made by Yeti, the company that is most well known for making overpriced coolers, $400 coolers. This tumbler sells for $39 through their site. I think you can get it some places on Amazon and elsewhere for about $30. And it has received just rave reviews all over the place because it will hold ice forever. It is a double wall insulated stainless steel. You put ice into it. There is no sweating along the outside of the tumbler. And because it is double wall insulated, it doesn't react to outside heat. So it's been sitting in the car with heat. It's been sitting in hot places. And the ice will last forever. However, this is not the $40 Yeti tumbler. This is the $10 Wal-Mart Ozark Trail tumbler that is, by all accounts, a one-for-one knockoff of the Yeti. So there have been just a slew of comparison videos that have this, the Ozark Trail, for $10, the $20 Arctic knockoff, which has very small differences in shape and size, also 30-ounce, and the 30-ounce Yeti that sells for $40. A lot of these side-by-side comparisons, people will take 10 ice cubes, put it in here, and see how long the ice takes to melt. In some of those,
where they're actually doing a temperature probe, right?
So there have been several different versions, right? And in some of them, the ice will last for close to over 30 hours. Others 10 hours, depending on how much ice they put into it. Other tests, if you watch What's Inside, they did a unique test. They put this in some other tumblers that, when I say this, I mean the Yeti version of this, into a convection oven and heated it to 350 degrees for 20 minutes. Then took an internal temperature. So they took the lid off, took the temperature inside, and found that the temperature had actually dropped from when they initially put the ice in it. So it maintained a cooler temperature internally, even though it was in an oven. Most of the other ones that they put through that rigorous test didn't stand up. And then really the most relevant video I think I've seen which was my question, my skeptical question of, I don't care how long it keeps ice if the only thing that's in it is ice. I drink a ton. And so I want to know, will my ice last through multiple fillings of this? So if I'm drinking a 2-liter bottle of pop, how many times can I...
depend upon how warm the pop is?
It does. Well, of course it would.
For those of you in Centralia, Illinois, sody.
Yeah, typically, or Coke, yeah. Typically, I have my pop at room temperature. And so this guy did a test on his channel on YouTube where he filled his Yeti with ice and then filled it with room temperature water. And then just sat and drank the water. So he drank it pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But again, for him, the test was how many times will it cool down the liquid and still maintain ice. For him, he was able to fill it up 5 times, and there was still ice in there. So almost 2 full liters through here without a complete ice loss. I'm finding for myself that the ice lasts till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Filling it when?
Filling it when I leave the house at about 7:30. Filling it at 7:30 with ice. I fill it with pop, usually when I get to work at 8. And it's lasting until about 1 o'clock if I do nothing with it. Or a full 2 liters of pop. However, when I go out for lunch, I could take a cup back, pour that directly into this, and that ice lasts me. Today it lasted until after I got home, till about 6:30 with the addition of ice. This is ice I put in after dinner. And
what time is it now? It's 9:30 p.m.
It's 9:30 now. I put this in at 7:30 with Dr. Pepper, and it's practically full. It's one of the things in the morning that I'll do, just out of habit. I'll take it with me and with no liquid in it before I fill it up, because I don't want to dilute my Coke or my Dr. Pepper that I'm putting in there. I'll drink any of the melted ice out of habit. There's never any melted water. In fact, if there's one negative about this, I will tell you, in a hot day, in a hot car, like we went to church the other day, I had this in the car beforehand. It was empty but full of ice. When I came back out to the car an hour and a half later, it had been sitting in a hot car. I thought, great, some melted ice. There was nothing. There was nothing. So the only complaint is that it holds the ice too well. The other reason that I have fallen in love with this is because it is double wall insulated, and it's vacuum sealed as well. So when the what's inside guys cut it open, it hissed when they punctured that outer wall. It doesn't sweat. The outside of it doesn't get cold. It doesn't leak. It doesn't sweat. I have been used to, for years now, carrying a Nalgene with me. I'll fill a Nalgene up when I leave the house. Not only is it sweating on my backpack as I'm carrying it, but it will ruin documents on my desk if I'm not careful where I put it.
Now, this doesn't seal, though, right? Your Nalgene
that is
sealed,
correct.
So you could put it in your backpack.
That is correct. So this does not seal.
Well, it doesn't...
It doesn't have a sealing lid. You can purchase sealing lids. I don't know how well they work. There's a company that makes essentially this in a Nalgene format called Hydro Flask. The form factor is a traditional water bottle Nalgene form factor. It is double wall insulated, keeps ice forever. Those are also $30 or $35. Eventually I want to get one of those. But for keeping it work, keeping it at my desk, this has just been awesome. It has been just phenomenal.
All right, now for those of you who have fast-forwarded past all that, thanks to the links in the description, there's more to this, because Boy and I were talking about this earlier today, and I thought this was a fascinating discussion to have with you. So, what are some of the things we talked about?
So I started the conversation by asking, I have this product that, as a consumer, let's talk about it from the company side first, and then we'll talk about it from the consumer side second. From the company side, Yeti is, by all accounts, the designer of this tumbler, this 30-ounce tumbler. And Walmart has, by most accounts, completely knocked them off. Right? Yeti was first to market.
Is Ozark Trail a private brand of Walmart, or is it a separate company that sells exclusively through Walmart?
That I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Walmart is I believe, I think it's a Walmart company.
Okay.
They only sell to Walmart. All of the camping gear, all of the Ozark Trail stuff is only sold at Walmart. So from the company perspective, there's an argument to be made, assuming Yeti has a patent on this design, that Walmart is infringing on that patent. So let's start the conversation there.
All right. So actually, they could have any numbers of protections on this. They could have protection on the method of production. If the method of production is unique, then they could have a patent on that. They could have a patent on the design, and that is absolutely a design knockoff.
Right.
So
Right,
I'm assuming
the lid also is a design knockoff. It's a very kind of unique lid, the rubber seal, the way the tapered, and not only that, the Yeti lids are interchangeable. And one of the biggest complaints that people have with the Ozark Trail is that the lid is a little bit loose. You can buy a Yeti lid for $5, I think, on Amazon. Replace it, and that eliminates that complaint completely.
so. They could have a design patent, which would cover the looks of it. They could have actually even trademarked what they call the trade dress. If that in silhouette was used as their company logo, right? Mm-hmm. Then they would have protection of the look of that.
Right.
I'm assuming, since Walmart's involved, that they're not infringing on Yeti's patents and protections, so therefore it's up for grabs.
Yeah.
Right? My first... Well, go ahead.
So about the patents, one of the things that we discussed is how, yes, this is absolutely, if you put them side by side, logos facing in, they are indistinguishable to most eyes. And maybe to an expert, maybe to the designer, they can see minor differences, but they look exactly the same. And so... that being said, the Yeti version of this is not anything terribly new.
It's a thermos.
It's a thermos. A thermos has been insulating cups for a long time. Just like a thermos, you can put hot or cold in here, and it'll keep hot forever as well. But
how does it know?
It's patented Yeti technology. The profile, it fits into a cup holder. It doesn't on its own doesn't stand out as being anything special. And so maybe there isn't a patent on the Yeti version.
Now, so here's the question. As Boy started to say, from a business standpoint, if they were infringing on Yeti's patent or intellectual property of some sort, then they certainly have a responsibility here and need to make that right. They're open for lawsuit, and they could lose their tooling. They could lose, just a whole bunch. These products may have to be abandoned and crushed by a cement mixer.
And Yeti could collect damages. Could collect damages for sales lost.
But if it's not protected, it's open game.
Right.
They can do anything they want. And so that then brings up the question, as a consumer, how do you feel about knockoffs? Boy and I were talking about the fact that, my first question was, what's the country of origin? Turns out the 30-ounce tumbler from Yeti is made in China. This one's made in China. If what we're talking about here is a bunch of American jobs were lost, if I buy the Chinese version from Wal-Mart versus the American version from Yeti. Not the case. Well, you could argue, well, there's American employees at Yeti. Well, there's American employees at Walmart as well. And then, so for me, with a knockoff, if a company is going to knock off another company, I want to see them adding something. I want to see an improvement being made to the product, or the service, or the price.
The company,
if this was a Walmart copy for $40, I buy the Yeti.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, so then, and there, to some people, the name brand carries value by itself. You know, there are going to be brand loyalists, people that have bought Yeti products forever. They know that they stand up to time, and that's their brand. And so to those people, they can easily justify the additional cost.
So how about warranty? What is the warranty on the Yeti?
Right. So that's where I think, as a company, before we talk about that, let's go just a little bit deeper into the knockoff conversation.
Okay.
Do I, as a consumer, have any sort of obligation, moral obligation, personal, whatever, to stand behind the company that's innovating over the company that's a knockoff just because it's cheap? You know, knowing full well that this is a knockoff of that other company, that in purchasing this, I'm not adding to their revenue, and they're the ones that are innovating that product.
Okay, that's an interesting question. When I worked at Shopsmith, their products were knocked off in Taiwan back in the 1980s. And it was incredibly frustrating that because the patents had expired on that equipment, that they were able to knock it off. But where we were able to win those battles were fit and finish, not even close. The Taiwanese product, the paint would chip off. There were sharp edges. It was almost like buying a Harbor Freight tool. You kind of got a kit that you had to finish the manufacturing on. Some of the things that they did, they were required, because Shopsmith sued them, they were required to make certain changes because Shopsmith had been using a silhouette of that machine as their trademark. So they were able to prove that, okay, that design, that shape is trade dress. Mm-hmm. They were trying to say that the name Shopsmith had also fallen into public domain. So like Thermos.
Right.
Okay, Thermos was made by Aladdin. Now it can be made by anybody. You can sell a Thermos, and it can be any brand of Thermos. So Shopsmith set forth in a plan to, okay, let's make sure everybody knows that we refer to the company as Shopsmith. The product is a Mark V.
Right.
We don't ever call it a Shopsmith. Oh, I own a Shopsmith. Well, which Shopsmith tool do you own?
Right.
Really, really careful about that to protect the brand. The company had to make a number of changes, and I want to say it was like 7 things that they had to change. And what was hilarious was, in no time, the companies that were selling the knockoff were starting to tout the changes as improvements. So like one of the things that they had to do is they had to change something about the legs. So one of them made a big cutout, one of them put louvers in it.
Right.
They just stamped the legs a little bit different. Well, the one that made a big square cutout said, and you can just add a board and you can store things on it.
Yeah.
They were required to change the location of the switch. The switch went really, really low on the machine, very uncomfortable position. Well, some of them were saying, oh, for safety, you can shut it off with your knee. Much better than the Shopsmith. And you know, it's theirs was made out of cast iron, where Shopsmith's tools were made out of aluminum. And they would argue, well, you know, what do you want a 175-pound machine or a 250-pound cast iron machine? Well, 250 pounds sounds really good until you have to take the table off to use the lathe, or stand it up as a drill press, and then that extra weight was very burdensome. So anyway, it was very easy for Shopsmith to differentiate themselves against the competitor, but in the end, it boiled down to cost. You know, I can buy this for half the price, and to me, the most hilarious thing, or outlandish thing was these Taiwanese companies started claiming that their machine was engineered by the same engineer that had engineered the Shopsmith equipment. Well, when you knock off Hans Goldschmidt's design, it was designed by Hans Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
So that was ballsy.
Yeah. So,
but as a consumer, do I have an obligation? Did that customer have an obligation? No, not at all. It was their wallet, and in some cases, it was the difference between do I get to own one of these machines or not.
Right.
And if I have to pay the $3,000, I guess I don't get to own one. Oh, this one's $1,500. I'm in.
Yeah. So for me then, it becomes an issue of value, and I heard a great interview with not Dan Cathy, but one of the higher ups at Chick-fil-A, and he was talking about how so often when somebody at a restaurant, for instance, when a customer walks up, the employee views that customer as if they're holding a $20 bill in their head. And it's their responsibility and obligation to get as much of that $20 as they can. And so what ends up happening in a situation where, imagine this is a $20 bill and he's holding it.
There's a razor blade stuck to that.
2 of them. It's magnetic.
It is a magnet. Oh, there we go.
$20 bill that he's holding up to his head. In the transactional exchange, he comes up and as someone who is trained to treat this as a transactional exchange, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reach up and try to grab that. All right? and the second I do that, what's his natural instinct?
Hey.
Yeah,
whoa.
Pull away. Right? And so it becomes combative. At Chick-fil-A, they recognize that there's a better way to that. And so what they do is they try to find ways to add more and more and more and more and more value up front before there's ever any sort of ask for a transaction. And so when he's overwhelmed with value, the price becomes much less significant. And he talked about how they have a building, an R&D building, where they're working on dozens of projects. And every single project is designed to add value to the customer experience, and not a single one of the projects is designed to raise the price. So, he talked about some of the initiatives that they have done there. They recently changed their mission statement. They used to have this long list of mission statement. This is who we are, and we want to be a $10 billion company by XYZ year. And they changed it, and they said, our mission statement is be remarkable. And we define that 2 ways. Leave a positive mark on every customer, and be somebody that they want to remark about. That's it. Be remarkable. And they said they've seen their sales just soar, their company culture soar as a result of that. And so when I think about this situation and think about the Shopsmith situation, I almost hear in what you're saying that some of the things that they were doing, the knockoffs were doing, were in a sense trying to add value to that customer experience and almost forced them to. I think the thing about having the spot in the legs where you can store things, that's a brilliant plan of marketing that ultimately may have been a good idea.
No, actually, it made the legs weaker. But if it had been engineered that way,
right, then
it could have been.
Yeah.
They should have talked to Hans Goldschmidt about that.
Right. That's right. Their engineer. So back to Yeti and Ozark Trail. So I thought, okay, surely there are things that Yeti is doing to increase the value of their product for their customer. So to the question you asked, the warranty.
Yeah.
Right? Yeti offers a 5-year warranty on their tumbler, which is great.
What's going to go
5
wrong
years
with a stainless steel vacuum?
And if something goes wrong, it's going to be because it fell down a flight of stairs, got stepped on, was hit with a hatchet by what's inside, something. And so, made in China, just like this is made in China. 5-year warranty for $40. The $10 Ozark Trail has a lifetime warranty.
and it's from Walmart, so you have a problem with it.
You take it back to Walmart.
They're everywhere, right?
Right. And
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And so, I'm willing to
Crazy.
concede. I'm willing to concede that Yeti is probably a better product. It's probably made with thicker steel and probably has a much lower tolerance, and probably has better quality control.
Probably less nuclear waste in the vacuum.
That's yeah. But from a consumer, they're not adding enough value to justify a 4-time cost. And I can't imagine a world where that product is 4 times more better.
You could have
than
one of
this
those
product.
for every person in your family till your daughter's born
Right.
for the same money.
As I could get one for myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it brings us back to
You bought
the
that little
conversation
knife.
here.
Yeah,
You bought this little knife.
that's right.
You bought this little knife. It's
Weird.
no matter what you think about the design, I have a hard time imagining that the titanium, adamantium version of this, I believe it's better. I believe it's maybe 2 times better than this. 2 times better than this is a $30 little knife, not $160.
2 times better than that is, I think,
a
$14.
$4. Okay, so $14 little knife. I have just an impossible time imagining it's 30 times better.
I bought that little top. I forgot to bring it in.
Oh,
I bought the top that Leonardo DiCaprio used in Inception. Seth showed off a couple of those a few weeks back in the park. I paid. Well,
$3.
what did you pay?
For all of them or for just the one?
For one.
For the aluminum one, I think it was like $16.
How about the steel one? Stainless steel, because mine is stainless steel.
I don't want to talk about that.
And you got it on a Kickstarter campaign, right? So you got a better price than the actual retail price of
It was
that
probably-
right
it was
now.
probably-
It's crazy.
This is what, 23 or $25 for the stainless steel? Between 20 and
paid
$25.
$2.76 and got free shipping from China.
Yeah.
It came in a little steel container that also included a die, because one of the other characters in the movie had a loaded die, and as long as it came up 2, I think
Is your die loaded?
I don't think that it is.
Oh, that's a shame.
I don't think it
We
is.
should fix that.
$2.76.
Yeah. Yeah. I got ripped off.
Insane. No, I mean, you supported a company in Canada, and you thought that they were interesting folks and were doing
Right.
something cool, and so you were doing more than just buying a top. You were supporting a company that was, doing something new and innovative.
Right, and that I think that, and yours probably didn't come in a little mesh bag, and
No, it was in a steel can
Yeah.
and a foam.
so if you're not, you've got to add value somewhere as a company, and if you're not adding value, and customer service is a really easy value to add, can be an easy value to add, but it can also be an expensive value
Yes,
to
it
add,
can.
right? But if you're not adding, you've got to add value somewhere, and if it's not in obvious ways, like better warranties and better customer service, then maybe the value that you add is that you're being a trailblazer in the marketplace. And I find value in that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I would gladly support a company that's going to be out there innovating and making new products over the people that are just ripping them off, if I can justify the difference. If I can see the value in the difference in price. As the value increases, price becomes more relative.
Yeah.
And so, that argument comes up all the time with e-cigs, or did, is you can buy a $150 hunk of steel that has 2 screw hole posts, or the $4 knockoff, and is the vape that much different?
No.
Probably not.
Interesting conversation. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Do you buy knockoffs? Are you careful not to buy a knockoff? Does it bother you? And if so, whichever way you lean on this, please leave us a comment. We'd love to know. You're not going to change us. I love innovation. I love supporting originals. I really do. But at the same time, if the original is insane, I forget what the price of that knife was, but it was.
I think it was $160.
It was a lot. It was a crazy fortune, It's not worth that. It is not worth that. My mom, working with a fingernail file and a block of titanium, could make that for less than $200.
And I have since seen other versions of this that are innovative because they've added features. It's a very similar design, very similar aesthetic, for $60, which for me is still too much. But I appreciate that they're trying something new with the design, and I appreciate that price a little bit better than $160.
Okay, I wasn't going to talk about this, but let me talk about my knife real quick.
All right.
Okay? Because
you're going to cut yourself.
I am.
You're going to cut yourself.
Let me step around and get close to the camera.
You played with fire once.
I know.
And you lived to tell the tale, not again.
All right, so check this out. This is a Gerber pocket knife. And it is actually, it was influenced or based sort of loosely on the design from another company that's been around a long time. And basically what we have here is a knife that uses a disposable scalpel blade. So when I push down here, I can slide that scalpel blade out, insert a new one, thusly. Press the button here, and we're locked back in place. Okay? The reason why I bought this, for two reasons. Number one, it's a lock back, and what I didn't like about my other Gerber Exchangeable blade, EAB, is it had a liner lock, and I hate liner locks. I want a lock back. And I like a traditional blade style as opposed to a utility knife blade. But the reason I bought this, just like the other EAB, was I can take the blade out and throw it away at TSA and not lose my knife, right?
I think that's a much better design.
So currently the count is still holding at 27 knives lost to TSA, and I'm done. No more knives for the TSA people, but they could take the blade out of that.
Right.
I really like this. Now I wish it were a higher quality and not just this orange and black plastic, but maybe that'll be next, right? But it's lightweight. It's easy to change the blade on it. The blades are very inexpensive, and it is a standard scalpel. It's a, I forget what they call that, a T60, something like that, or a 60T. Has 60 on the blade, stainless steel blade. Is it a knockoff? No, it's not a knockoff, because the other company who makes a similar knife, from what I understand, they don't have a folding version. I could be wrong. But to change their blade, you have to do this interesting calisthenic where you have to kind of bend it and push it. And people in the comments on, where was I? I saw the comments on it. Pretty much everybody said that they've been cut.
Oh, yeah.
This one's not going to have that problem. I'm still going to get cut, but not changing the blades, I won't.
Right.
So, anyway, I'll put a link to that, too. I think it's cool. Probably, I think it's like a $35 knife. I got it on Amazon. I think that I caught it when it was like $30 or $31 with Prime. But it's available in several places, on eBay and others. Anyway.
Cool.
Now I am showing it.
I like that. I like that knife.
So, all right, let's wrap this up. Guys, thanks for watching. Again, we already gave you a call to action. Leave us a comment down below. Hit the like button. Share the video with a friend. You know what all the professional YouTubers say about
Don't forget to subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you again next week.
Bye, guys.